Rice prices are at dangerous levels. They are creating instability in our world. That's according to HSBC Bank, which is out of Hong Kong and Shanghai. Big news coming out about that. Rice levels at 2008 levels. We're going to talk you through how bad it is getting out there and what to expect next. Also, Canada's biggest port on the East Coast has a catastrophic fire, and they're having shelter-in-place orders that came out over the last couple days. Lots of big sparks and explosions happening there. Flooding in New England, of course, with the hurricane on the coast there. That's kind of expected, but some serious flooding there right now. Also, we have a weird report of cargo ships coming to the United States with their cargo on fire. We got a whole lot of reports coming from you guys from all over the place. We got a lot to cover. Let's jump right into it. Welcome to the Poplar Report. I'm Steve Poplar. I'm an accountant, and you guys send in your reports on what's going on in the world and what you're seeing at your workplaces, what you're hearing, and we get that out to you to get you the best and fastest possible information. We want to thank our sponsor, Genesis Gold Group. If you have retirement funds that you have invested in stocks and bonds and you want to get them into something safer, less volatile like gold, silver, or platinum coins, you can do that in your retirement account if you're in the United States. And you might want to talk to Jonathan and his team. All right, so let's jump over here to the rice issue. We've been kind of warning you about this. I want to make sure this is still on your radar because sometimes I tell you about stuff well in advance and then you guys forget about it, or maybe you didn't see the video, or maybe you're new to the channel, and this is big stuff. This is stuff that is a slow-moving freight train that's coming right at us. HSBC out with a warning just yesterday that rice prices, with them exploding, are going to have spillover risk into geopolitical problems. So now this is HSBC is the Bank of Hong Kong and Shanghai. So it's coming out of an Asian country in China, right? Warning us and everybody else that there is a problem. Now 40% of rice exports come from the country of India. India has blocked all rice exports. So right there, 40% of world exports of rice are gone. Now that's not rice production. Rice production is different than rice exports, right? China is the greatest producer of rice, but it doesn't export any. But India produces a lot of rice and exports a lot. Now, this year, they're not going to export any. All right, so rice prices, because of this, have already spiked to 2008 levels. We haven't seen prices like this in 15 years. And some kind of crazy things happened in 2008. Also, we have the Arab Revolution, the Arab Spring back in 2010, 2011, partially driven by these food price levels, right? High food prices cause governments to be destabilized around the world. If you lose your job, you get upset. If you can't eat, if you can't feed your family, you take to the streets and you change the government, don't you? That's what happens out there. And so India, 40% of rice exports off the table. Second largest exporter out there in the world, which accounts for 15% of the rice, is Thailand. They say that they are not going to halt exports, but they have urged their farmers to plant less rice this year due to water shortages. They're not supposed to plant a second crop of rice this year. So they're going to be willing to export whatever they have, but the problem is they don't have anything to export. Rice speculation and hoarding has caused Thailand exports to actually drop as international demand is spiking for more and demanding more rice. Honorary president of the Thai Rice Exporters Association said Thailand has never had tight supplies up to now, as we have plenty of rice surplus every year. But this year, the Thai rice market is in chaos because of uncertainty about supply. Are you paying attention yet? So the number one rice exporter of the world is like, we're not going to export anymore. And the second largest is not able to export now because uncertainty due to supply. All right, let's look at number 3, Vietnam. The Philippines locked in a direct guarantee from Vietnam of rice for 5 years. So the Philippines ran to Vietnam and said, let's lock in our rice contracts with you for the next 5 years to make sure that we are first in line to get our rice. This comes as Vietnam is planning over the next 7 years to cut their production of rice by 44%. Both Thailand and Vietnam are having issues with El Nino with their rice production. So production in Vietnam and in Thailand are projected to be significantly lower. You're starting to see a trend here. We have a serious rice problem out there in the world. If you are planning on stockpiling rice, you might want to get on that, because around the world, countries like Domino's are starting to realize that there's a serious problem. And like I said, HSBC, one of the biggest banks in China, has just come out and said, this is a serious problem. We need to get on this. We need to fix this. So China is realizing there's a serious problem with that too. All right, switching gears here. This is from Nature Will Provide, giving us a heads up. The biggest port on the east coast of Canada. They have a metal recycling plant, and shortly after, they have multiple explosions were heard, and a metal fire broke out. They had supposedly they have a security system hacked. That's what Nature Will Provide is sharing with us, but I wasn't able to confirm that. But this is the port of St. John in New Brunswick, and it's just kind of north of Maine out there on the coast, but it's the largest port on the east coast for Canada. So this is coming from reports that I looked up here. They said that it was too early to say how the fire started, but it was burning in a pile of crushed cars, and was likely going on for hours before the smoke became noticeable. Now, if it was in a pile of crushed cars, who wants to take a wager that it was an electric car that they accidentally crushed or somehow ended up in that pile, and as the cells got punctured, it caught fire? Because that sure sounds like a reasonable explanation, doesn't it? We're seeing a lot of fires out there caused by battery electric vehicles. And that very well may be what happened here as well. But they put a shelter-in-place recommendation across the city on Thursday. So the largest port there, we're not seeing reports that they closed down the port, but they did have chemical smoke drifting over the city as well as the port, and people with any kind of allergies or difficulty in breathing were told to stay inside and avoid the smoke. The fire did appear to be put out later in the day Thursday, and they did lift the shelter-in-place recommendation late Thursday. Switching gears yet again, ransomware cyber attack hit the government of Sri Lanka. And for those of you asking for updates on the Taiwan situation, like I said, I'm keeping an eye on it. All we know is that the Chinese fleet has kind of arrived somewhere north of the Philippines. We don't have confirmation that they've all joined together for exercises, but apparently there are exercises happening out there. The Taiwan government apparently released a video. I'm not sure if they actually conducted this at the same time, where they attacked a simulated Chinese ship with their surface missiles, surface-to-surface missiles. So launch from the ground at ships, basically their shore batteries, basically, showing what it would do to a ship. Also, we have flooding in Massachusetts and Rhode Island. They had evacuations in one area due to a dam in poor conditions, but the dam did not fail. They received 10 inches of rain in 6 hours, which they're saying is a 1 in 200 year event, at least for that area. All right, so a viewer, one of our viewers here, who asked their name to be withheld, says, I have a friend who works in the Gulf Coast. I withheld some of the specifics of exactly where, but on the Gulf Coast, onloading and offloading ocean liners and cargo ships. These are huge ships that arrive from and travel to all over the world. He said that last week one arrived that contained wood pellets, for like furnaces and stoves. The contents were burning. They eventually managed to get it extinguished. He said he had never seen this happen before. We talked to him yesterday and he said it happened again. Another load of wood pellets was on fire. He said that no one is able to explain why this is happening. Now, we've all seen what happens when you have like grass. When you cut your grass and you pile it up, it breaking down can actually catch on fire. That's possible. It can get really, really hot. You can burn your hands sticking it in there, but it can also, and under certain conditions, actually catch fire. So possibly that's something that's happening there, is that it's degrading being on the ship. But they say they've never seen it before, and see it twice in just 2 weeks is very unusual. Let me know what you guys think about that. And please do keep your updates coming. Just use the word update on any one of these videos and a comment to let us know what you are seeing in your place, what you are hearing from other people, particularly firsthand if you can, or from someone who really knows what they're talking about because they have firsthand knowledge. All right, Teresa says, just found out that the BMO bank will no longer be lending money for vehicle purchases. This info was in a letter sent to dealerships. Cheers from Canada. So another bank choosing not to play part with used auto loans. We've been talking about that a bit. Haven't been talking about recently about how over-leveraged everyone is in the United States with auto loans, and how they've approved auto loans to if a car is worth $20,000, purchase price $20,000, they're letting them borrow $25,000, $30,000 on that $20,000 car, which is just insane. And yet they've been doing that. They've been rolling over people's past auto loans for the purchase of their new auto loan, and allowing some of that balance to roll forward onto the new car. So you're already underwater even when you're purchasing the car, even before the wheels leave the lot. Craziness. So a lot of banks have already started to say that they're not going to do this anymore. They're not going to give out loans. Now, the ones that are still doing it, they give out the loan and then they immediately resell it to suckers down the road. They tell them it's, good class of buyers and it's very secure. And then they sell that loan off to other people who are unsuspecting. They're doing the same thing during the housing crisis. They're just doing it with car loans now, just like they're doing with all these other loans. It's crazy. Casey says, 1 hour south of Morgantown, West Virginia, went to Dollar Tree where I get canned dog food. No rice, no flour, no bread, no canned fruit, no TP or milk. Freezers and reefers were empty. The clerk told me they had been waiting for their shipment for over a week. I felt lucky to get the dog food. Shipments are not coming in like they should in a lot of places, that's for sure. Kenya Coffee says, Green Valley, Arizona, Walmart. Someone came in last week or so and intentionally set the paper aisle on fire. Now, I know a lot of you guys don't like Walmart, and there's some news that we're going to be coming out here. We're working on a project here to help folks get back to buying American-made stuff. We'll be announcing more about that next week. But hopefully you guys don't hate Walmart enough to do this type of stuff. Someone coming in and just setting fire intentionally to the paper aisle at the Walmart. This was about 30 miles north of the open border with Mexico. Hundreds of workers out of work, and $10 million in inventory damage. Now, they did apparently reopen this Walmart rather quickly. About six days after this, they were able to get the Walmart reopened. So that's good news, at least to the people shopping in that area and to the workers. Judy in Lehigh Valley, Pennsylvania, which is in northeast Pennsylvania. Lehigh Valley is not in northeast Pennsylvania. It's kind of, anyway, so there must be two separate areas they're in. Went to multiple stores and I am finding empty shelves in the vitamin section of both brand names and store and generic brands. What was left on the shelf were men's vitamins. I'm not a guy, but I bought the men's vitamins anyway. Also, I live in a rental property and the landlord always provides a commercial grade fire extinguisher for their units. When the fire professional came to do the hydrostatic testing on the fire extinguisher, it failed. A new commercial grade fire extinguisher for me has been on back order since February 2023. I have not looked into getting a commercial grade fire extinguisher, so I don't know if those are backlogged, but if any of you guys know whether or not those are backlogged, that is pretty important out there. Also, be aware that there are relatively small differences between men's and women's vitamins. So you can actually make the difference up by taking some extra supplements. And they're not generally dangerous to take the other ones. But look into that yourself. But I believe that there's just a few different vitamins, different stuff in those vitamins. And it's just like a small changes you need to make. So you might be able to just add an additional supplement to kind of overcome that. Or you may not need to deal with it at all. All right. Butch says, pulled into deliver my tanker load of milk and got informed that they had ceased operations. This is a milk bottling plant in Bismarck near North Dakota. Now waiting to find out where I go dump the load in the sewer. So another milk facility shutting down in Bismarck. One of you guys did kind of chime in about the creamery that was on fire. That apparently that one in one we reported on the other day. Basically, it was they were going to shut it down anyway. They tried to find a buyer for it and they couldn't find a buyer for it, and then spontaneously combusted. Were they just trying to get some insurance money out of it? That's a question that inspectors should be asking probably. MCent says, Southeast Tennessee, Walmart, holes everywhere. I was kind of shocked considering it's the middle of the month. Pasta section shrunk again and not too many varieties. Butter section shrunk. Egg prices up a little and barely any. Creamers are hit or miss and deli meats look awful. John says, did a Gideon distribution in the Lidley, New York Weekly Food Bank. So passing out Bibles, right? That's what Gideons do. Last year, just over 100 people were served. The dissector, I'm assuming that means director, said this year just over 320. So 100 people up to 320 people. Government payments to the food banks were down 2/3. Food bank distribution center only gave 1/3 of the food to the food bank. The Addison, New York food bank shut down in July due to lack of food donations. So we're seeing that food banks are getting less food, they're getting less support from the government, and a lot more people are needing food assistance. This is from Dimbula Blade Works in Australia. In the past week, supermarket house brand 5 kilogram, which is 11 pounds for us, right? White rice was up $2 per 5 kilogram bag, from $7 up to $9 in just the past week. House brands sugar up 23 to 28%. Name brands were up even more. Bread flour was up 15 to 19%, all brands. Frozen foods, better stocked but way more imports at higher costs. Canned foods, especially meats, up 10 to 30%. Canned shredded chicken was $1.40, now $2. Canned soups, chunky variety, not tomato, cream of chicken, etc., up an average of $1 a can each. Now these are Australian dollars though, so use comparisons. Simple soups like tomato and cream of chicken or beef, vegetable, up 25 cents to 40 cents a can. Cheers from the Outback. Thanks for your reports, guys. And if you want to get more information from Genesis Gold, there's a link right here that will take you to a form that you can fill out and get a packet of information from them. All right, folks, if you want to check out another video, there's another video right up here. I'll see you over there, or I'll see you later. Steve Poplar of the Poplar Report, out.